Alright, so here's the second problem. Basically, this problem right here is f of x, or that function. So I'm going to take f of x out of g of x down here and replace it with that expression. So I'm going to write negative 1/3, and I'm going to take that expression, I'm going to put it in parentheses, this whole function in parentheses, so that I'm going to use that distributive property in a second. And outside the parentheses, don't forget that part, I'm going to put plus 1. So now I'm going to use my distributive property. I'm going to distribute the 1/3 to the x squared, to the 12x, and to the 24. And don't forget my negative. So I get negative 1/3 x squared. Negative 1/3 times 12 will be minus 4x. Negative 1/3 times 24 is negative 8. And then the parentheses disappear, but I still have that plus 1. Now I'm going to combine my like terms, negative 8 and 1. So I get negative 1/3 x squared minus 4x minus 7. And that is going to be g of x now. So pretty simple to do that. Now B says describe the transformations. So when I look at this new function I made right here, what's different about it from my original function? Well, there's a negative sign here, so what's going to happen is a flip or reflection about the x-axis. It looked like this when it was f of x, but g of x is going to flip it over, so that's a reflection over the x-axis, they would probably call it. I originally had a nothing here, or it was a 1 as my coefficient of a. Now it's a negative, it's a 1/3. So remember, 1/3 means the parabola is going to get fatter, basically. So my original parabola for f of x might have looked like this. The negative 1/3, you can think of it two ways. It's going to stretch it this way, side to side, a horizontal stretch, or it's either going to squish it down, depending on what they word it. Basically what's going to happen is it's going to make it fatter. And they'll never really talk about the middle part, but we are worried about the last number here, which was our y-intercept. So I moved f of x down here so we can still see it. So here's f of x. My y-intercept was 24, and it changed to negative 7. Anyway, on my coordinate plane, it went from 24 to negative 7. So just think of your y-axis. Your y-axis is right here. And here's our x-axis. Squish it in a little bit. But our number was way up here at 24. That's where it was crossing the y-axis. But now our y-intercept has moved all the way down to negative 7. So from positive 24 down to negative 7. That's a difference of 31. So my whole function moved down 31 units, whatever units they say. Now the last part of the problem is part C. It says make a function h of x which would undo the transformation of g of x, so you're back to f of x. Basically we want to take this function right here and tell everyone what we would do to it to change it back to what it was at the start. So since g of x, we multiplied our original equation, f of x, we multiplied it by negative 1/3, and then we added 1. So we want to basically undo it like we'd solve an equation. To solve an equation, we'd subtract 1 first to get rid of that, and then to get rid of the negative 1/3, we would multiply by negative 3. So we were going to tell everyone and we're going to do that. So h of x, very simply, we're going to take g of x. This up here is g of x. The top, we're going to take g of x, And the first thing we're going to do is subtract 1 to get rid of our add 1. And then we're going to take this whole thing and multiply it by -3, and that will cancel out this -1/3. So let's do that real fast just to make sure we're correct. This is the answer right here. I'm going to circle it. This is the answer. But you want to make sure it's right. Let's try it. So take our g of x. We're going to take -1/3 x squared. We're going minus 4x minus 7. We're going to subtract 1 from this, and then we're going to multiply the whole thing by -3. Alright? So, first we're going to subtract 1, which would give us, in the parentheses, -1/3 x squared minus 4x, and that's minus 8. Then we're going to multiply the whole thing by -3. So we're just going to use our distributive property, multiply this, this, and this by -3. -3 times -1/3 gives us +1, which is x squared. -3 times -4 is 12x, and -8 times -3 is 24. So you can see what I told you the original answer is right here. To undo what g of x did, we subtract 1 first and then multiply by -3, and we end up with our original equation, f of x.